Hello and welcome to the video lecture doing some examples of how you would write code to access a database management system. So in this first example we're going to be using VB.NET, and the next example we'll be using Java. So this basically starts off, the option explicit on basically means that this code requires you to declare all of your variables. Then what VB.NET is, and you might hear about the .NET framework and things of that nature. So when you talk about import system, that is for all intents and purposes, a DLL, a large library of functionality that you can just tap into. So if you import that, now you have access to all of that. Then you can import sub classes of that. So you have imports system.data, which means you've got a whole bunch of functionality associated with the manipulation of data. And then after that you can import system.data.oracle client, which is the .NET data provider for Oracle. So now you've got a whole library of functionality that you can tap into. The public class insert form is the creation of a form. And what you see next is a button click event. So when someone clicks a button, this is going to fire, and as you can see, it handles the button one click. Anytime you see dim in VB.NET, that's the dimensioning of a variable. That's the declaration statement of a variable. So we are dimensioning name as a string, and again you have to declare its data type. And what that's going to do is that's going to take on the value that's in the textbox1.text. So what you have to assume at this point is that a form has already been created and there is a textbox1 control text box on it. And the text that's in that text box is now being put into the variable called name. And then textbox2's property text, whatever value the text property has, is being put into department number. Textbox3's text is being put into student ID. Then, it's only part of the code. So then what's happening is we're dimensioning a connection, which is a new Oracle connection. So now we know we're going to be talking to the Oracle database, and that Oracle connection comes from the Oracle client information, the system.data.oracle client. So now once we've imported that, now we can make use of it. So now we're going to set up a connection. And then we need we're setting up CMD query as a string, and that's going to hold our query, our SQL statement. So the connection string for the connection is the permissions and the actual database that we're connecting to. So in this case, the user ID is NIS UBRAM, and the password is also the same thing. And the data source is OED1. So that's the name of the Oracle instance that this program is going to connect to. Then what we're doing is, this is a beautiful example of some dynamic SQL. SQL that's being built on the fly. We talked about this in Chapter 7. It's actually an insert into statement that's going to take on that's going to take the values in the name, department number, and student ID variable and plug it into an SQL statement. Then what we're going to need is an actual Oracle command object that's going to let us execute what's stored in the CMD query variable. We use the connection. We open that connection, as we talked about in the previous slide, the steps, or the previous video lecture. We open up that connection. We dimension a return value, because after we execute this, the return value is going to take on a numeric, hopefully a number greater than 0. And if it's a number greater than 0, then everything worked fine. The command actually executed. And if that's true, our label .text value is set to success. We close our connection. We end our sub. And somewhere in there we should be cleaning up our variables if necessary. A Java example. This Java example is a little small. I wonder if I have a slide for this. This is still the VB.NET. Here's the Java. So here we've got our import java.sql. That is very, very similar to the .NET importing its system and system.data. We're setting up a public class called test JDBC. Obviously, we're going to be testing our JDBC API. We've got our public static void main. If you've coded in Java, you know that that's what main almost always looks like. And then we're going to do a try. So the try, we're going to set driver D. And again, here we don't have to explicitly declare variables ahead of time. So our driver D is going to equal whatever driver you're using, class.forName, and then we're going to set up a new instance using the JDBC, the oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver library. So we're setting up a new instance, and the author has a system output print D, which is going to let us know that we actually have our new instance established. We're going to set up the driver manager.register driver, so we're registering the driver. And again, we're using the oracle.jdbc.driver.oracle driver library. We're going to set up our connection. The connection CONN is going to be equal to the driver manager.getConnection. And again, what you see there is a path to the database. In this case, we're using an @ symbol, so that's telling us that we're going through the internet. And typically, we're using Java. And then we've got our set st. Our statement st is equal to con create statement, very similar to VB.NET. So then we're going to execute a query, only in this case, instead of building it on the fly, here we've got some static embedded SQL. So we're going to select star from student, and then what we're going to do is we have a while loop. So we're just going to loop through and print out every name that's in the student table. All right, and then we have our catch to catch any kind of errors. And if we catch any kind of errors, we're just going to print it out. All right, so that is the end of my video lecture on some code examples of how Java and VB.NET access databases using APIs.